Hello, everyone. I hope everyone's having a good day today. So, I have another awesome quality story for my audience. So, let's get into it. So, this story took place when I was like a teeny bopper, almost a teenager. And let's get into it. So, basically, what happened is when I was a teeny bopper, I used to love climbing trees. Every time I was with friends and stuff, we would bike around all over the place. We'd spend a little bit of money at the dollar store, convenience store, and stuff like that. Get snacks and stuff, and we'd bike around, and we would stop at places like big trees and stuff, and we'd literally climb it. We thought it was the coolest thing ever. We used to look at ponds. We used to do a whole bunch of stuff. We used to go all over the place. We used to rollerblade all over the place. We used to rollerblade in my complex at one time. Yeah, we used to hang out when I can. Some days I couldn't hang out. Some days I was busy, stuff like that. But the days I could hang out, I'd hang out with my friends. There was even trees in the complex place I used to live in, and I used to climb them too. I used to climb trees at my parents' house, my other parents' house. I used to climb trees wherever I went. I would always climb the tree. I thought it was the coolest thing ever as a child. I thought it was really cool. Um, I even enjoyed one time I went to a birthday party for a friend, and they were rock climbing, and I even enjoyed the rock climbing too. I enjoyed it a lot. I was like loving the rock climbing. I thought it was the coolest thing ever, and it was my first time ever rock climbing. And ever since then, I loved climbing trees because climbing trees is almost similar to rock climbing. So I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Or another thing I used to do with our friends is that we used to look in the pond. We used to catch crawfish and little fish. And at one time, I wish I had a fish tank and I'd be able to bring it back, but my one parent wouldn't let me bring back anything from outside because I guess she used to say anything outside doesn't supposed to be inside. And I guess a lot of people would agree with that, and that's okay. But yeah, we used to hang out all the time with my friends. And we used to make forts too. It was the coolest thing ever. We would break branches off trees and we would stack them up. We'd get a rope and climb them up and make it big enough that, all four of us could sit in the fort. It's pretty cool. And yeah, you know, we used to yeah, we used to go all over the place. I remember we drove all the way to Dairy Queen. It's the really coolest thing. So I had money and I paid for me and my friend to go to Dairy Queen. We got a really good treat. And then from there we rode all the way back home. And I think he went back home, I went back home, and that's what we did for that day. Um yeah, I had a lot of friends as a kid. When you're a kid, it's kind of innocent. Everyone hangs out with everyone. It's a cool thing, you know. And yeah, you know, there was one time that I was particular just I was just taking out the garbage because in our complex there used to be a dumpster where my parent used to live, and I went out to just throw out the dumpster. And I got scared because it was late at night. It was like 9, 10 o'clock at night, maybe 11. I don't know. I got told to take out the garbage, and I was like, okay, I'll take out the garbage because sometimes the house gets full of garbage. And I took it out, and I was scared because a bat flew across my head, and I was freaking out. And then after I was freaking out, I went back out to look at it, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever because I never seen a bat in like real life. I never seen a bat before. Like I hear people talk about them, but I never seen them before. Just like there was another time I was it was night it was nighttime, and I looked out my window, and in the tree there was an owl. It was the first time I ever seen an owl. I took a whole bunch of pictures. I was like so fascinated. It was like I thought it was the best thing ever, because you hear people talk about the animals, but it's totally different when you actually see them in real life. It's a totally different feature. It's pretty awesome if you ask me. So yeah. And so there was one particular day I was hanging out with friends and we were hanging out in the complex. We were all hanging out together. We were all bike riding together down there used to be like a circle around the complex where you could bike around all over the place. And there used to be a lot of us. There used to be like 12, 13 kids in a group. That's how much kids there used to be, and we used to bike around all over the place. But it was like a circle, so we used to bike around and stuff, and we would bike around much as we can, stuff like that. We'd bike around for hours and hours and hours. you know, until everyone would get tired and eventually go inside, type thing. So, yeah. So this particular day, um, there was a tree beside a house in the complex, and I was kind of showing off to my friends, saying, "Hey, I'm gonna climb this tree," you know, and I started climbing the tree. Well, I don't know what I did or how I did it. So my friends were sitting there talking, and they weren't really paying attention to me, and I was behind them, climbing the tree. Well, somehow I stepped in the wrong spot. I got my foot stuck between two branches, really tight branches. People couldn't understand how I got my foot stuck in that branch, but I was sitting there, right? And I said, "Uh-oh." I'm like, "Oh," and they looked at me and they're like, "What's going on? What happened?" And I said, "I can't get my foot out," right? And they're standing there. For a second, they thought I was joking around. You know how kids joke around, teenagers joke around. He's sitting there like, haha, okay, thinking I'm joking around. And then 5 seconds later, he notices that I haven't moved yet. And I'm like still sitting there saying, I can't get my foot out. And then they're like, oh, okay. And then they realized I was serious and I literally couldn't get my foot out. So they're like, oh, okay, I'll be back. I have to get your mother. I won't be long. And I said, okay, don't leave me here. And then a couple, like, probably like 5, 6 minutes later, next you see my mother running out. And, she's on the phone or something talking to somebody at the particular time. And I said, she's like, try to get your foot out, because even she thought I was joking around, kind of playing, a prank on everyone. And I'm like, "No, I can't." My mom tried to get her foot on. I said, "I can." And she's like, "Uh-oh, I don't know how you did this. I think you got your one. I think you got yourself deep in this one. I don't know how you're gonna get yourself out of this one." So my mom's kind of like a little worried now because she can't get my foot out. Nobody could. They tried to pull, they couldn't pull. So then, the next she ended up getting one of her friends that lived in the complex, and so he came out, and they both tried to pull to get my foot out, and they were like, "Oh, we can't move the branch." They're like, "Oh boy, you got your foot real good. You got your foot real stuck in this one, didn't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then basically they had to, eventually another friend came out, right? Another friend came out and they tried for a few minutes. They couldn't get my foot out. They were like, "Oh, try to move it." Everyone was starting to get worried because they couldn't get my foot out. And it was jammed in there. I don't know how I did it, but I got my foot jammed in the tree, you know. And then my then I kind of got embarrassed because it was like a little bit of people. It was like maybe 5, 6 people that I know really well, to all of a sudden a whole group of people. Then I started getting embarrassed, right? And then, you know, and then I started getting embarrassed, and then I started crying, and then my parents were telling me maybe I might have to call the fire apartment to get my foot out, and I didn't want that either. But my one parent, kind of did. She was joking around, hoping it kind of did happen. But luckily, I started crying. I was embarrassed because there was so much people looking around. It was very embarrassment because you're like the center of attention, and I guess everyone knows what you did. You made a mistake, and I guess everyone knows. So I started crying, and luckily they got my foot out of the tree. Thank God, I was happy about that. And they told me, they just said, "Oh, I hope you learned your lesson. I know now. I don't think you should climb trees anymore because we don't want to deal with you getting stuck in trees again." You know what I mean? I said, "Understood," and I went inside. I was embarrassed. And then your parent kind of makes sure you're okay and kind of hugs you and tells you he loves you. Everything's okay. You made a mistake, but all you got to do is learn from mistakes, and that's what happened. But that was one of my most embarrassing stories ever. I still remember it to this day, and I thought my amazing audience would want to know the story. So thank you for listening. I hope people can relate to my story in some sort of way. That's the best feeling in the world. I hope you enjoy my video, and I will see you tomorrow with another awesome quality video. Thank you, everyone. I hope everyone has a good day, takes it easy today, and lives life to the fullest. Thank you, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow with another awesome quality video. Thank you, everyone. Bye.